What's up, people? It's your man Joshua Pondexter. Happy Wednesday, 8/23/2023. This year is getting on down the road. Mm, that tea is hot. So, yeah, so it's getting on down the road. The 8 months have almost evaporated out of the year. What have you done? What have you accomplished? I'm sure a lot. All right. So, America, kind of, kind of feeling, um, kind of sorry for America, right? Yeah, kind of America is struggling, and we don't even know it. No, we do not even know it. Try to get my settings all together there, people. But um, today's conversation, the financial conditions of most Americans, and what to do. What in the world are we going to do? Mm-mm-mm. Listen, there's a little video I want to show you um, that kind of um, put this whole situation in perspective about what's going on in America, what's going on with us economically. This is the people of America, the richest country to ever exist. And we are having serious issues in our country, financially speaking, right? So this is a little video going to show you from uh, CNBC.
The average American says they need to earn $233,000 a year to be financially comfortable. But in 2021, American workers on average made only $75,203 annually.
Americans are sort of looking at how much money they would like to have to be financially secure, and that ends up being basically 3 times what the average income is in this country.
Come on, America. We got a problem. We got a certain amount of money coming in. We need 3 times that amount of money. Must be living on credit.
And to be essentially wealthy or really successful, it's magnitudes above that.
72% of Americans said they weren't financially secure given their current finances. And more than a quarter of Americans said they'll likely never be financially secure.
So 72% realize that they're not financially secure. 26% of those people have virtually given up on the hope of ever being financially independent, right? And that number will be increasing as financial conditions change in America and in the world.
By the numbers, their debt is lower and their savings are higher coming out of the pandemic, but they're more anxious about what's going to happen next, if they have job stability, if they're going to be able to have secure retirement.
With well over half of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, many are failing to meet some of their modest financial goals.
That's 61% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck in a first world country. What the heck is going on? What are we, mama, what we gonna do? Something is not right, right? Something is not right. What the? Okay, come on, let's keep going. So 1 second. So what are we going to do? Man, this is some depressing news. I listened to this little 12-minute clip and it got your boy depressed because I'm out here trying to help some people. Let's see. Let's get back into it.
There are actually millions of people struggling. It's not something that people want to talk about, but if you're in a place where your financial security feels super precarious, you're not alone. And it's not your fault.
So how did it become so difficult to be financially secure in America? And what can you do about it? Let's do some budgeting. Americans working full-time earned a median monthly income of about $4,400 during the second quarter of 2023. The average worker takes home 75.2% of gross wages after taxes and benefits, shrinking the take-home pay to about $3,308. And that just isn't enough to cover the cost of living in America today.
The cost of health.
By the way, that's $1,092 that's been taken from our paychecks, right? So you know where they're going. They're going to taxes. That's $13,104 a year. So stay tuned and listen to what's going on in America.
Healthcare that has skyrocketed. The cost of attending college has skyrocketed. The cost of purchasing a home has skyrocketed. But nowhere has anyone said wage growth is up 15%, right?
Take a look at some of the most essential expenses for Americans. The median monthly rent in the US is $2,029 as of June 2023. That amount already accounts for over 46% of the Americans' median pre-tax income. But most US agencies classify spending more than 30% of one's gross monthly income on rent as being rent burden. Meanwhile, the median mortgage payment for a 2,400 square foot house was $1,957 per month. However, a common rule of thumb advises spending 28% or less of your pre-tax income on mortgage payments. For the median gross monthly earnings, that translates to just $1,232.
As we talk to households and talk to consumers out in the real world, especially those, say, under 40, housing is the big issue. You know, rent, mortgage. It is the biggest concern that people aren't going to be able to make the next payment.
Inflation is really hurting individuals having stability in their housing. And I think sometimes we underestimate that if you have uncertainty in your housing, it causes uncertainty everywhere.
Housing is also the reason why cities have become more difficult to afford. Americans said it would require more than $1 million in net worth to be financially comfortable in places like San Francisco, New York, and Southern California.
This is why we've seen some migration or mobility around the country where some people say, I'm living in a high cost state like California or New York. We really want to sort of pack up and go to an area that's less expensive. And one of the ironies of that is those places that were cheaper before are now becoming more expensive.
Americans spend on average $690.75 on food every month, according to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That amount is significantly higher than any of USDA's estimated grocery bills, including more generous and liberal food plans. Add the out-of-pocket health expenditures that cost the average Americans $96.42 every month, and you get a total expense of $2,816.17 for renters, and $2,744.17 for homeowners.
Listen, renting versus a mortgage, right? Some things that we're not talking about in that mortgage is upkeep, right? Expenses, so though that's on the mortgage side, those numbers are a lot bigger.
That amount already accounts for 85% of the median take-home pay for average American renters, and over 82% for an average homeowner. This is excluding other essential expenses like transportation, childcare, and debt payments.
Many Americans are really struggling with just the increase of costs of living and food and housing. Utility bills have gone up. Car insurance has gone up. Homeowners insurance has gone up. And how can they pay for them, but also meet other goals that they have to?
Budgeting experts advise Americans to spend just 50% of their net income on essentials, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings or paying off debt.
We see that allocation shifting significantly where people are spending 75% of their take home just on needs, which leaves very little for wants and very little for saving for your financial future. So depending upon where you live and of course your income, many Americans really cannot meet that target allocation.
So much of managing your financial life in America today is like drinking from a fire hose. I think many households are not able to show up and impose a framework of their own design onto their finances.
That's critical right there. A framework of your own design. This, parents are always talking about we should teach financial literacy in school. No, you should teach financial literacy at home, because by the time you get out here in the marketplace, the market has a financial design for you, and that's to keep you in debt, keep you working, keeping you living impoverished. Even if you are a six-figure earner, you got bigger stuff. It is just terrible.
Many are still in this reactionary space where they're just trying to figure out how to make ends meet.
The Federal Reserve has implemented 11 interest rate hikes in 2022, but more than a third of Americans said rising interest rates kept them from financial comfort.
Higher interest rates really can stand in the way of affordability for many financial activities or decisions that people want to engage in, and home purchases is sort of at the top of that list.
Look at the person who was going to buy a house that was, let's say, $375,000 2 years ago. Their monthly payment would have been less than $2,000. Now it's about $3,400, and it's the same house, right? The only thing that has changed is the interest rate.
Purchasing a car is more expensive. It's more expensive to maintain a balance on a credit card, with the new offers for a credit card, even for the best qualified individual, being at 20.5%. And other people.
I can relate to that. A little bragging here. I have an 800 credit score, and I look at offers of 20%, like 19, 20. Are you crazy? All right, get out of here.
Are paying closer to 30.
The cost of capital is going up very rapidly. And many of the kind of toeholds we saw for lower income households was because they were having access to credit and to home loans and to other things in a relatively flat economy where they still had a good job market. The ability to access credit, both for small businesses and for households, is getting much harder as the financial system becomes more risk averse in that space.
Credit is essential because Americans don't have the savings to cover big expenses. More than 40% of Americans blamed insufficient retirement funds or emergency savings as a reason for financial insecurity.
For a lot of people, just to feel subjectively feel financially better, they need some amount of savings. A lot of financial planners will say 3 months of your income. That's, for many people, it's just so overwhelming that they can't even begin to think about it.
More than half of Americans today said they didn't have at least 3 months of emergency expenses saved, including 22% that said they had no emergency savings at all.
It doesn't take unemployment to really knock somebody out of whack with respect to their personal finances if they're among the many Americans who say they cannot afford a $1,000 emergency expense and to pay that from their savings.
The reality is, if expenses are routinely higher than your income, you are not going to be able to put away meaningful sums. There are many, many households who do the verb of saving. You see money go into their account all the time. It just doesn't stay there because they are routinely hit with a need to grab that little bit of money and use it for some kind of income shock or unexpected expense or even expected expense.
36% of Americans said they had more credit card debt than emergency savings. According to Experian, an average American holds a debt balance of $96,370, which includes several loan products like credit cards, auto loans, and mortgages. More than a quarter of Americans said debt was what kept them from financial security.
Debt is a way of channeling some of our financial resources, and that can be a very effective tool. Many of us are fans of credit cards that have rewards, for example, but if you're not paying that principal or debt off within the billing cycle, that's when those double-digit percentage interest rates hit, and that can then exact a toll on the other aspects of your personal finances.
How do we properly address this so that people cannot be in the cycle of just focusing on paying debt and necessities, but can even think about transitioning to that other 20% and creating an emergency savings, which causes financial stability, or even saving for retirement, which is the goal of creating future financial stability in retirement?
The fact that many Americans are living in financial insecurity poses a big risk to the economy as a whole.
There's a reason why we measure and monitor very closely things like consumer confidence or consumer sentiment, because what populates those data points are everyday measurements like inflation and the strength of the job market.
I think COVID really showed us that households, when they don't have a level of stability and security, are actually the primary foundation of whether the economy can be strong or not, because we are so based on consumer spending in this country.
Public policy can greatly improve Americans' chances of achieving financial security.
So, for example, Social Security is the bedrock of most people's financial security in retirement. It's not the only source of their retirement income, but it keeps a lot of the older people out of poverty. And we know that Social Security needs some reforms in order to maintain its same level of benefits. And then also anything we can do to make sure that employers are offering any kind of retirement savings opportunities, emergency savings opportunities at work, offering employees the ability to enroll in benefits, whether that's health insurance or insurance for life insurance or disability insurance. Employers are a key part of this too, and public policies play a big role in terms of what employers can offer and at what price they can afford it.
The household's willingness to work toward financial security is also important.
Ultimately, the answer here is that solutions have to be arrived at the macro level as well as the household level. And so at some level, we all need to try to own our own financial success by managing our money as well as we can across the range of areas like emergency savings and retirement.
Financial advisors say the first step is to have a clear goal.
What do you want to achieve personally? What do you want to achieve at work? When do you want to retire? What do you want to do for others? And write that down.
But the key to success comes down to budgeting.
Everyone should budget. What we say is it's not what you earn, it's what you keep. And so think about and have some transparency of where is your money going? And then make sure the budget that you have aligns with the goals that you wrote down. If you say you want to retire early, are you saving more to retire early? If you want to put your children through college, if you want to be debt-free, are you paying more on your student loans? Are you paying more on your credit cards so you can be debt-free? Make sure that your budget aligns with your goals.
There are actually millions of people struggling. It's not something that people want to talk about, but if you're in a place where your financial security feels super precarious, you're not alone. And it's not your fault.
Many people who have really high incomes and a lot of savings still feel financially anxious. So don't feel like this is your fault or something to do with the fact that your income isn't enough. We all have to deal with this in different ways. The most important thing you can do is just acknowledge that and deal with it and not try to avoid it.
All right, there we go, people. I definitely, let me get. What happened? Okay, let me get back to my screen. Wow, that's a lot. That was just 12 minutes of clarity. Let's unpack. That's a lot of information to unpack. What's going on in America with our the conditions of most Americans, the fact that you could be working well, gainfully employed, and issues, right? The cost of housing, that's either renting or a mortgage, the cost of transportation, the cost of food, entertainment, all these things are killing the typical American, right? And so it's sad because incomes are not rising, right? So if your income is not rising, I could tell you, I'm 61 years old, and I can remember being 17 and being offered a job that paid $35 an hour as a union painter. Because, in high school, I went through the union painting course. And so I got my certification to be a union painter, went through all that process. That's what they used to do. You could graduate from high school with a carpentry certification, and that was 100 years ago. Now, if you will have to get a technical degree to get 35 bucks an hour starting a job today, right? So wages are flat. Inflation is killing us. So what we're going to do? One of the things that I notice about most financial advisors is that they don't go to the root cause. Those are some issues, right? Not budgeting, getting too much house, too much lifestyle, right? So those are some real issues. But fundamentally, and I tell people this, if your financial advisor don't start with the root cause that's keeping you behind the gun, they're not worth their weight their weight in salt, right? So what's the root cause? The root cause is taxes. With that scenario we showed the typical Americans got $1,092 a month going out in taxes. Over a 12-month period, that's $13,104 of tax-free money that we're giving Uncle Sam. And I would say a good 65% of Americans are single, right? So if you're single and you don't have any deductions, you don't have any children or anything you can deduct, Uncle Sam is keeping the majority of that money. So that's where your issue lies, right? So if you could bring back that $13,000 back on your kitchen table to save for retirement, to invest, wouldn't that be beneficial for your family? So when I looked at that video and I saw all the issues that Americans are facing, because started with the typical $75,000 a year person, that's normally a husband and a wife in Illinois, right? That's a household income about $75,000. So you see how much leaving that house to never return in taxes. So what are you going to do, right? How do we solve this crisis? Because if we keep going, and especially with 100% of corporate Fortune 500 companies paying no taxes, and then 100% of wealthy people paying no income taxes. That's why they're killing us, man. That's why it's killing us. So you can do the same thing. This is what we're going to encourage you to do. So we're going to talk about 7 ways to pay less in taxes, because this is what's killing you. With that particular $75,000 family, got $13,000 going out in taxation, right? And when they do their taxes, they're probably going to leave, minimum of $6,000 on Uncle Sam, $7,000, right? And then a lot of times Uncle Sam will have the nerve to say, you owe him, you made too much money, right? So what are those individuals going to do? And you go from 75,000 families to $150,000, you got a larger tax concern, right? So let's give you some 7 quick ways to pay less in taxes. 7 ways to pay less in taxes that are legal, moral, and ethical. Number 1. So Joshua, don't make sense. Stop earning money. The more money you earn, the more taxes that you're going to pay, right? You have to look for other ways to create money, right? Because if you go get a second job, you're going to earn money. That earned income is taxed as the highest tax bracket. There's earned income, there's passive income, there's dividend income. So we're going to have to learn how to make more of that other money, that passive income, and those dividend income. So we don't pay as much as we do earned income. Let's say that's 33% state and federal across the country. Passive income from a portfolio of real estate, that's taxed at 15%. And then dividend income, long term, is taxed at 20%, right? So where you want your money to come from? If it's coming from passive income, dividend income, can you not see you paying half right with that, the way that you make your money, where you how you get that money in your pockets, right? And I'm not saying don't give up your job or things of that nature. There's also some ways to minimize that paycheck. So, but anyway, the taxes on that. But use debt strategically, right? I think we spelled that right. So instead of using debt to buy things, liabilities, use debt to buy assets, right? Use debt to, say, for instance, buy you a second car that you can put to work, or buy you a truck that you can put to work, or buy something that you can earn money on. So use your debt strategically. Okay. Number 3, maximize your deductions, right? So, of course, if you're just working a W-2 job, you don't have a family, husband and wife and children, you're going to pay more in taxes, right? But if you set up a side hustle, you can begin to do what wealthy people do what business owners do. You can begin to offset the taxes from your earned income, right? So you're utilizing those tax dollars to make more money, to create a business, right? And Uncle Sam will subsidize you. He will encourage you to create a business. And so you don't have to start with an LLC or anything like that. Start with your side hustle, right? That's self-employment. Those self-employment benefits are the same for a sole proprietor and a person that has an LLC, same, or S corporation, pass-through company, right? So that you want to maximize your deduction. So if that scenario where that family is sending out $13,000 to Uncle Sam, leaving $8,000 there, what if we could take that $8,000 and start over 1 year, 3 year, 5 year period, start to build a business that can make you money, right? Can even buy you some rent houses, as they used to say. Get you some rental property, right? So number 4, invest more aggressively, right? So now that you're have your side hustle, you're saving money. So now you can begin to invest more aggressively. Invest and to create you a portfolio where you can have dividend income, right? We already said the dividend income is going to be taxed at 20%. So you can do that. Earn money via real estate, right? So boom, buy you $100,000, $150,000 property. You'll be amazed at how much money you can earn with that, how much tax deductions that you can maximize just with one piece of real estate, right? Okay. Number 6, your personal home, right? So a lot of times we didn't fell in love with our houses. That's fine. But if you are an empty nester with a 3,000 square foot home, you don't need all that, right? And so you bought that thing at 150 and it's worth 400,000. Go ahead and cash out. Now, between 150, or say if you have no mortgage on it, right? That's 400,000. Husband and wife you can keep all that cash and pay no taxes, right? All right. So now sell your real estate investment, right? So you bought uh, that single family home, 100,000. It went up to 200,000. You can sell it, and then you can roll that over into a bigger property, right? For 200,000, that balloons to 400,000. Sell it. Uh, Take all that $200,000, buy you a $400,000 property, on and on and on, never paying taxes again, right? And then when you can also leverage that debt by pulling money out, right? So these are 7 quick ways that you can reduce your taxes. Stop earning money, right? Or stop earning money only by earned income. There's passive income. There's portfolio income that will reduce your taxes. And so this is a process, right? So if these thoughts have never occurred to you, you need to learn how to do these things. Use debt strategically, right? So stop and to use it to buy assets instead of liability. Maximize your deduction. You need a little side hustle, right? I ordered some food the other day, and I saw this guy bring my food to me, and I knew that wasn't his full-time job. I could just look at him and tell he had just got off from work and was making him some extra money, right? Invest more aggressively, right? You need to learn how to invest in dividend-producing stocks. Get you, if you don't want to go that route, get your basic S&P 500 index fund. I'm bullish on Vanguard, low fees, right? Maximum profit to you. Start to investing more aggressively because you got money left over because you have a tax strategy. Earn money buying real estate if you want to get in a real estate game. I'm talking about actually owning real estate, right? So you got to be a landlord, right? Your personal home. Don't get stuck in a personal home, right? Emmanuel, thanks for tuning in, brother. So don't get stuck in it. No, people fall in love with brick and mortar. Don't do it, right? You're trying to get financial independent, right? So if you tuned in early and we told you the situation that's happening with most Americans, expenses, everything's going up. And the biggest burden that I'm telling you, what really shocks me, most product sellers, people selling your life insurance, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, people that sell that stuff, they never call themselves financial advisors. They never deal with your number one issue, which is taxes, which is your number one burden, expense. It's not housing. Housing is not your number one expense. Taxes is. Income taxes, both state and federal, sales taxes, excise taxes, property taxes, business taxes. This is your biggest expense, and you need ways to mitigate, reduce them legally, morally, and ethically. So that's what this thing's about. 7 ways to pay less in taxes, legally, morally, and ethically, right? You can do it. You don't have to be Donald Trump. You don't have to be PepsiCo. These tax incentives are available to you, but not as an employee, right? But as a side hustler, sole proprietor, setting up just a solo LLC, a disregarded entity, right? So, man, come on, let's get it done because I feel your pain. I feel our pain. Let's say I feel our pain. Let's say, well, Joshua, or you rich, wealthy, whatever. Yeah, no, not rich, wealthy, whatever. But I keep my lifestyle low. Zero out my tax liability. My earnings are utilized for me, right? So we use these strategies, right? We have for decades, right? So here we are. Stone Consulting LLC is my company. Joshua Pondexter, I'm the president and CEO. JoshuaPondexter.com. Go to my website, schedule yourself a consultation, a business consultation, tax strategy consultation. Joshua Pondexter at Gmail. Holler at your boy. We're here to help. It's our only job because we feel your pain, which has been my pain since the mid 80s when I learned how to have a side hustle, right? I worked in corporate America, always has a business on the side, took advantage of all these wonderful tax breaks, virtually paid no income taxes since 1986. I did it. The IRS, I don't owe them nothing. They don't owe me nothing. They're not looking for me. We can help you, right? So if you didn't tune in earlier, go back and watch this rebroadcast. There's one of my LinkedIn buddies, Nina J. Clark. She had that video on her feed. I said, wow, I need to expose my audience to that because they succinctly in 12 minutes looked at the issues of facing us as Americans. They had no solutions. None, zero. All they did was point this grim picture and where it's going, right? And so, come on. And so they were just pointing out what was going on. You know, thank you, Emmanuel. So they was just pointing out they had no solution for the everyday man, right? And that's who I'm dealing with. The everyday man. Show you how to win this game because taxes are killing you. They are killing you. They're killing your paycheck. They are robbing you of your life, and they're robbing you of your finances, your time, because you have to spend so many hours in a day working just to pay taxes. Let's say 2 hours a day. It's been estimated the first 2 hours, Uncle Sam get it, right, in taxes. Then you got the medical insurance man, he's getting it, right? So what about you? What's this concept? Pay yourself first. You can do it. JoshuaPondexter.com. We're here to help. Holler at your boy. All right. Always, this is my on my YouTube channel. We ask for you to like, subscribe, comment, tell us what you think. You can go get you a consultation. Go to my website, JoshuaPondexter.com. Get a consultation, and let's look at, because a lot of us have stuck our heads in the sand and start watching them taxes coming out of our checks, right? Brother Kevin, good to see you, brother. We just stuck our heads in the sand. And when I deal with young people, I got my child, they just got their master's degree, they got their first job, they get paid 80, 120. And the first question that those people ask, educated people, who is FICA? Who I expected more out of my paycheck. So after check 2, 3, or 4, they just stick their head in the sand and says, "Whoa, there's nothing I can do." Right? So, hey, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. One love, peace, love, and soul. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.